Welcome back to the Expensive Coins History channel. Did you know some 2p coins are worth hundreds, even thousands of pounds? Moneybag today, we're counting down the 5 most valuable and expensive 2p coins you could ever find in your change. Stick around, you might just be sitting on a fortune. The 1989 Queen Elizabeth II 2p coin, often referred to simply as the 1989 no-mint mark 2p. Although millions of these coins were produced, the story behind this particular year, the misconceptions surrounding its rarity, and the surprising value of certain special examples make it an important topic for anyone interested in coin collecting, treasure hunting, or simply learning about the hidden worth of everyday currency. Before we get into values and potential profits, let's step back and look at the coin itself. The 1989 2p coin belongs to the modern decimal series introduced in 1971. By 1989, the 2p piece was a familiar part of everyday British coinage, featuring the well-known portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and the Prince of Wales feather emblem with the words, 2p, on the reverse. The coin was struck in bronze and weighed just over 7 grams, placing it in the category of larger, heavier bronze decimals of the era. This alone gives the early decimal 2p coins a sense of physical presence that newer plated coins no longer have. Now, one important detail collectors often ask about is the mint mark. People sometimes expect to find a letter or symbol indicating where the coin was struck, as is common in the United States and other countries. But in the United Kingdom, standard circulation decimal coins do not carry a visible mint mark at all. So when people refer to the 1989 no mint mark 2p, they are simply observing a normal feature. In other words, the absence of a mint mark on a 1989 2p is not an error and not a rare characteristic, it is simply how these coins were made. With that said, the production volume in 1989 was extremely high. More than 350 million 2p coins were minted for circulation that year, which means that even decades later, many of them still exist in the pockets, jars, and drawers of people all over the UK. This is important because rarity is one of the biggest factors that determines value. When a coin was minted in the hundreds of millions and most examples remain in circulation or storage, the coin is considered common. And generally, common coins hold very little monetary value unless they are in extraordinary condition. For the majority of 1989 2p coins, the story is simple: the average circulated piece normally sells for only a small premium above its face value. Collectors often pay 20 to 50 pence for a clean, circulated version, and sometimes slightly more if the coin has particularly sharp detail. Even uncirculated pieces, coins that were never released into circulation and remain in mint-fresh condition, tend to sell for only a few pounds. This is because so many were made that even high-grade examples are still fairly easy to find. However, this is where the story gets interesting. Although the regular 1989 2p coin is common, there are certain scenarios where this coin can be worth significantly more. The first and most notable situation is when the coin comes from a proof set. Proof coins are specially struck using polished dies and high-quality planchets, giving them a brilliant, mirror-like finish. These coins are not intended for circulation and are produced in much smaller numbers. A 1989 proof 2p in top-tier condition can be worth several tens of dollars or pounds, and in exceptionally high grades certified by third-party grading services, some examples have sold for amounts far above what you would expect from such a common date. Even more dramatic are genuine mint error coins from 1989. These are extremely rare, but they do exist. Minting errors such as off-metal strikes, when a coin is accidentally struck on the wrong type of metal blank, can make a 2p coin look silver instead of bronze. Other errors, like double strikes or misaligned dies, can also occur. When authentic and in good condition, error coins can sell for hundreds, and in exceptional cases, even thousands. These are the types of coins that attract intense attention from collectors because errors from this era are scarce and unpredictable, making every discovery feel like a small treasure. With so many people posting coins online, it's worth offering a word of caution. The internet is full of listings where sellers claim an ordinary 1989 2p coin is worth a fortune. Many of these are wishful thinking or misunderstandings about rarity. Some sellers list common 2p coins for absurdly high prices, but that does not mean buyers are actually paying those amounts. The real market value is determined only by actual sales, not by high asking prices. Collectors know that unless the coin is a proof, a certified high-grade specimen, or a genuine error, the value remains modest. Now let's look at where things stand in 2025. As of this year, the general market for decimal coins has grown steadily. More collectors worldwide are showing interest in Queen Elizabeth II coinage since her passing in 2022, and this has increased attention on even common coins. The 1989 2 pence, being part of the long and iconic reign of Queen Elizabeth II, has benefited from this wider interest. In 2025, a typical circulated 1989 2p still holds a low monetary value, generally under £1. However, uncirculated examples, especially those that have been stored properly and show no signs of oxidation or wear, have become more popular among entry-level collectors. As a result, their value remains stable and in some cases slightly rising. Proof versions and professionally graded coins have retained a higher premium. Depending on condition and grade, these can sell anywhere from the equivalent of $20 to over $70 or pounds. As for error coins, the market in 2025 remains strong, with the best examples continuing to fetch high prices at auctions. Serious collectors remain willing to pay for authenticity, rarity, and visual uniqueness. The average 1989 2 pence coin with no mint mark is common and not worth a life-changing amount of money. Its true value lies in its history, its place in the story of British decimal currency, and its connection to the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. But the rare exceptions, proof coins, certified high-grade examples, and genuine errors, are where real value can be found. If you believe you have something unusual, it is always worth getting a professional opinion or submitting the coin for grading. The 1997 no mint mark Queen Elizabeth II 2 pence coin. Although it might appear to be just an ordinary piece of copper-plated steel, this coin has become the subject of growing curiosity, speculation, and online discussion. Some people claim it is rare, others insist it is worth a fortune, and many wonder whether it holds any true collector value at all. In this video, we are going to explore its history, its real level of rarity, the myths that surround it, and its actual market value as of the year 2025. By the end, you'll know whether this small coin is simply pocket change or a surprisingly valuable treasure. Let's begin by understanding where this coin comes from. The 1997 2 pence piece belongs to the long line of British decimal coins introduced in 1971. By this point in history, the coin featured the familiar third portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Maklauf, showing the Queen wearing the royal diadem. The reverse displayed the historic Prince of Wales's feathers, surrounded by a coronet and bearing the motto, Ich Dien. The metal composition at this time was copper-plated steel, which gives the coin its magnetic properties. Nothing about the design itself was unusual or experimental, and the coin was produced using the same striking method as millions of other decimal pieces in circulation. One detail that often confuses people is the absence of a mint mark. Many viewers hear the phrase, no mint mark, and assume it indicates rarity. In the United Kingdom, however, circulation decimal coins almost never carry visible mint marks, and the absence of one is standard, not unusual. This is why the 1997 2 pence coin is officially classified as a regular circulation strike, not as an error or special issue. It is very common for new collectors to misunderstand this, leading to inflated assumptions about value. Now let's talk about mintage, which is one of the most important aspects of coin rarity. In 1997, well over 400 million 2 pence coins were produced for circulation. With such an enormous mintage, the coin is considered common even decades later. Since these coins were minted in huge numbers and remained in circulation for many years, they can still be found regularly in change today. For a coin to be considered truly rare, its mintage would need to be dramatically lower, or it would need to have a distinctive error or variant that stands out from the standard production. The 1997 2 pence coin does not fall into that category under normal circumstances. This is where many of the myths begin. Online marketplaces and videos sometimes claim that these coins sell for huge sums, sometimes even thousands or millions, but these claims are not grounded in real collector behavior. When a common coin is listed for an unrealistic price, it often gives the impression that it is incredibly valuable. But listing a coin at a high price does not mean anyone is willing to buy it at that price. Serious collectors base their purchases on condition, rarity, and verified errors, not on exaggerated listings. However, that does not mean the 1997 2 pence has no collector interest whatsoever. Condition always plays a major role. A 2 pence coin from 1997 that has been kept in perfect, uncirculated condition, perhaps from a mint set or a private collection, will certainly be worth more than a worn, circulated example. But even then, the increase in value is modest. Collectors might pay a few pounds or a few dollars for a pristine example, but it is not the type of coin that climbs into the hundreds or thousands under normal circumstances. So what is the realistic value of the 1997 2 pence coin in today's market? As of the year 2025, circulated examples typically trade only slightly above face value. These coins are worth a few pence or cents in collector markets, depending on condition. Even uncirculated pieces tend to sell for small but reasonable premiums, usually in low single-digit amounts. You might see them sold by dealers or online sellers as part of complete date runs, and in that context, they have some appeal. But the idea that a standard 1997 2 pence coin is worth huge money is simply not supported by real-world sales. The only scenario in which a 1997 2 pence coin could be worth significantly more than normal is if it carries a genuine minting error. True errors, such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, double strikes, or coins struck on the wrong metal blank, can dramatically increase value. But such errors are specific, visually identifiable, and relatively rare. Most 1997 2 pence coins do not have these features. People often mistake normal wear, scratches, discoloration, or minor imperfections for errors, even though these are not considered collectible flaws. With all this in mind, what should you do if you find a 1997 2 pence coin in your change? First, look closely at its condition. A coin with sharp detail, a clean surface, and little to no circulation wear is more desirable to collectors than a dull, scratched, or heavily worn one. If you believe your coin has a genuine minting error, consider having it examined by a reputable coin dealer or grading service. But if your coin looks like a normal 2 pence piece from everyday circulation, it is likely worth face value with perhaps a very small premium. The 1997 no mint mark Queen Elizabeth II 2 pence coin is an interesting part of modern British coinage, but it is not rare in the traditional numismatic sense. Its enormous mintage means it remains a common circulating coin, and while pristine examples may attract mild collector interest, typical pieces hold modest value. Its popularity online comes largely from misunderstandings, exaggerated claims, and confusion around mint marks and age. But understanding the true factors that determine coin value helps protect collectors and ensures realistic expectations. 1996 no mint mark Queen Elizabeth II 2 pence coin, a piece of everyday currency that many people overlook, yet one that carries an interesting place in Britain's decimal coinage history. While this coin may seem ordinary at first glance, its background, mintage, and collector interest make it worth a closer look, especially for those who are curious to know whether their 1996 2p might be worth money in 2025. The 2 pence coin became part of the United Kingdom's decimal system in 1971, and by 1996 it had already been in circulation for a quarter of a century. The 1996 issue featured the well-known portrait of Queen Elizabeth II created by sculptor Raphael Maclauff, a portrait that appeared on British coinage throughout the mid-1980s and 1990s. The design shows the Queen wearing the royal diadem, accompanied by the traditional Latin inscription around the outer edge of the coin. On the reverse, the familiar badge of the Prince of Wales appears, with its plume of ostrich feathers and the motto, Ich Dien, along with the simple text reading, 2 pence. The design reflects the long-standing tradition of British numismatics, preserving a classical style that many collectors still appreciate today. The 1996 2 pence coin was struck in copper-plated steel, which had become the standard metal for the denomination after earlier bronze compositions were discontinued. The coin has a weight of just over 7 grams and a diameter close to 26 millimeters. Like nearly all standard United Kingdom circulation coins, the 2p carries no mint mark, and therefore the absence of a mint mark on the 1996 issue is normal, not unusual. These coins were produced in extremely large numbers for circulation, making them widely available across the country and easy to find in pocket change for many years afterward. In terms of rarity, the 1996 2p is generally considered a common date. Hundreds of millions were produced, which means that the vast majority of these coins do not carry significant numismatic value. Most examples show some level of wear from circulation, and only coins in exceptional condition, those that have never been used and still retain full original luster, attract stronger collector interest. For everyday circulated coins, the value typically remains near face value, because so many examples exist in similar condition. However, the story does not end there. While the 1996 2p coin is common, collectors are always attentive to special characteristics that might elevate a coin's desirability. Factors such as pristine condition, unusual coloration, strong eye appeal, or confirmed minting errors can all increase value. Minting errors may include off-center strikes, double strikes, misaligned dies, or coins struck on the wrong metal planchet. Although no major or widespread error type is commonly associated with the 1996 2p, isolated minting mistakes do occasionally occur in any year. A confirmed and dramatic error can raise a coin's value substantially, especially among collectors who specialize in error coinage. For the ordinary 1996 2p coin, the typical value in the modern collector market is modest. Circulated pieces generally trade for only a few pence. Coins in very fine or extremely fine condition may achieve a slightly higher price, while coins preserved in uncirculated or mint state condition can be worth more to collectors who appreciate their shine and overall eye appeal. In 2025, a standard uncirculated 1996 2p might sell for a small premium above face value, usually a handful of pounds at most. The exceptional examples, coins that appear untouched, perfectly bright, and graded at the highest possible levels, could be worth somewhat more, though the value still remains limited due to the large original mintage. Despite its modest monetary value, the 1996 2p holds significance for collectors who enjoy forming complete date sets, studying the changing portraits of the Queen, or collecting examples of the early copper-plated steel era. It also represents a moment in British history before the major design changes that would arrive in later years. Many collectors of Queen Elizabeth II coinage appreciate these pieces for their nostalgia, simplicity, and recognizable designs. There is often discussion online about ordinary coins being worth a lot of money, and while it is true that some rare British coins have fetched high prices, the 1996 2p does not fall into that category under normal circumstances. Without an extraordinary error or a remarkably well-preserved specimen, the coin is generally not valuable enough to make headlines. Instead, it remains a common but interesting piece of modern British currency, cherished more for its historical and sentimental value than for its monetary worth. So what should you do if you find a 1996 no mint mark 2p in your change? The best step is to examine its condition carefully. If it appears uncirculated, unusually bright, or displays any features that might be an error, it may be worth setting aside. For collectors just beginning their journey, it can also serve as a great introduction to understanding British decimal coins and the factors that influence value. For most owners, however, it remains a charming reminder of everyday British coinage during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. As of 2025, the 1996 no mint mark 2p coin generally holds modest financial value, but it continues to be appreciated by collectors who enjoy the history of currency and the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II's decades on the throne. Its worth lies not only in monetary terms but in the broader story it tells about British coinage, the evolution of designs, and the countless hands it passed through over the years. If you have one of these coins, keep it safe, especially if it is in excellent condition. And as always, continue exploring the world of coins, because even the most ordinary-looking piece of change can have a story worth telling. 1993 Queen Elizabeth II 2-pence coin that some people call the no mint mark 2p. At first glance, this coin looks like an ordinary piece of everyday change, something you might have carried in your pocket or found in a jar at home. But as with many coins in the world of numismatics, there is more to it than meets the eye. And in this video, we will explore its background, its meaning, the truth behind the term no mint mark, its rarity, what determines its value, and what it may be truly worth in the current market in 2025. The 1993 2-pence coin sits within a long tradition of British coinage produced during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. By 1993, the decimal system had already been established for over 2 decades, and the Royal Mint was producing coins in massive quantities to meet the needs of everyday circulation. The 2p coin of this era carried the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the front and the badge of the Prince of Wales on the reverse, with the decorative feathers and coronet that so many people recognize. For millions of people, this design is a nostalgic reminder of the coins they grew up using throughout the 1990s and early 2000s. One thing that often sparks curiosity is the idea that the 1993 2-pence coin has no mint mark. For British decimal coins, this is perfectly normal. The Royal Mint did not mark everyday circulation coins with mint letters, unlike many world mints such as the United States Mint. So, when people refer to the 1993 2p as having no mint mark, they are simply describing its standard form. The absence of a mint mark does not make it rare, unusual, or collectible by itself. All standard circulation 1993 2-pence coins were made this way. That means that if you have one in your pocket, it is most likely a regular coin produced in the hundreds of millions, and that leads to the next question: is it rare? When we look at rarity in coins, we consider how many were made, how many survived, and how many collectors are competing for them. The 1993 2-pence coin was minted in very high numbers. As a circulation coin, it was meant to be used, spent, and replaced. Because of this large mintage, the typical 1993 2p is not considered rare. In fact, it is one of the more common decimal coins from the 1990s. Many examples still exist, and thousands of them remain in circulation or stored in homes across the UK. However, value in the world of coins is not only based on rarity. Condition plays a major role. Most 1993 2p coins have been handled, dropped, scraped, and used for decades. These coins show signs of wear, faded details, dull surfaces, scratches, and discoloration. In this state, their value rarely exceeds their face value. Collectors who purchase common date coins pay attention to grading, and only those in exceptional condition carry real collector interest. A coin that has been preserved carefully from the moment it left the mint, showing no signs of wear, remains shiny, crisp, and sharply detailed, can be labeled uncirculated. These high-grade coins are more desirable. Even then, because the mint produced so many in 1993, the value bump is modest. An uncirculated 1993 2p may sell for a few units of currency rather than pennies, but it is not a coin that typically reaches extremely high prices unless there is something else special about it. Now let's talk about the rare cases where a 1993 2-pence coin could be worth far more than expected. The most valuable coins of this type are not normal circulation coins but error coins. Error coins are mistakes made during the minting process. They can include misstrikes, double strikes, off-center strikes, or coins that were accidentally struck on the wrong metal blank. These genuine mint errors can transform an otherwise common coin into something highly desirable among collectors. A wrong metal error, for example, can raise the value dramatically. A coin struck on a blank meant for another denomination, or a coin missing key details due to a minting malfunction, can be worth significantly more. The problem is that error coins are very rare, and many coins that appear unusual are simply damaged through regular use. If a coin is discolored, bent, scratched, or oddly shaped, that does not make it a mint error. The only valuable ones are those with authentic and verifiable minting mistakes. For these, collectors and professionals often rely on experts or auction houses to confirm whether the error is real. If you happen to have a 1993 2p coin that looks strange, lighter or heavier than normal, or appears to have incorrect metal, then it is worth getting an evaluation from someone who understands mint errors. So what about the value in 2025? As of today, the general market value for a standard 1993 2p coin remains low. Circulated coins hold only face value or just slightly above it. Well-preserved coins may reach a small premium, especially if they are uncirculated. And rare error coins can reach far higher levels depending on the error type, the condition, and demand from collectors. The realistic truth is that the 1993 2p coin is part of everyday British monetary history, but it is not a major rarity in its normal form. It is a common coin that serves as a piece of nostalgia for many people, a nice collector's item for beginners, and a fun find for people sorting through their old jars of change. The only circumstances in which it could be worth a substantial amount are when the coin displays a genuine mint error or is preserved in exceptional condition. If you own a 1993 2p coin and are curious about its value, the first step is to examine it closely. Look at its color, weight, and edges. Does it appear ordinary, or is something noticeably unusual about it? Then consider its condition. Compare it with images of uncirculated coins. If your coin shows great detail and little to no wear, it may be worth more than a well-used example. And if you suspect an error, reaching out to a trusted expert or coin dealer is a smart move. The 1993 Queen Elizabeth II 2p coin is a familiar and widely recognized part of the UK's decimal coinage. Although it is not rare in its regular form, it does hold a place in the numismatic world as a reminder of a transitional time in British currency. Its value in 2025 remains modest, except in special cases involving mint errors or exceptional preservation. For collectors, it can still be a charming piece of history. For beginners, it is an accessible starting point. And for anyone who believes they have a rare find, careful examination is key. The 1987 Queen Elizabeth II 2p coin. Many people wonder whether this coin is rare, why some think it might be valuable, and what its actual worth is today in 2025. So let's take a detailed journey through its history, minting background, numismatic interest, market value, and the truth behind the idea that the 1987 2p is worth a lot of money. To begin, the 2p coin has been a standard part of British decimal currency since 1971, and by 1987 it was already a firmly established denomination in everyday use. The coin from that year features the well-known third portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by Raphael Maklauf. This portrait shows a more regal and sculptural representation of the Queen, often admired for its sharp definition and stately appearance. On the reverse is the emblem of the Prince of Wales, the three ostrich feathers rising from a coronet, with the motto Ich Dien. This design had been used for the 2p since the beginning of decimalization and continued unchanged through the late 1980s. The copper-based bronze composition of the coin gives it a familiar color and weight, and millions of these coins traveled through circulation for years. The Royal Mint struck a very large number of 2p coins in 1987, and this is where the conversation about rarity truly begins. Because the mintage was extremely high, the standard 1987 2p is not considered scarce. In fact, it is one of the more common dates from the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Many remain in circulation, and countless others sit in drawers, jars, and collections across the United Kingdom. The phrase "no mint mark" has confused many new collectors. For United Kingdom decimal coins, the absence of a mint mark is normal. It does not indicate rarity or a special strike. The Royal Mint in Lantricent produced these coins without mint marks unless part of a specific commemorative or limited edition series. Therefore, a 1987 2p without a mint mark is simply a regular circulation coin, not an error and not a special issue. There is a common belief that certain old pennies or 2p coins might be worth large sums of money. Much of this stems from famous error coins of other years, such as the rare 1983 new pence 2p error. Because that coin genuinely is valuable, some assume that any older 2p coin could also be worth a fortune. Unfortunately, that assumption does not apply to the 1987 coin. The 1987 issue does not have any widely recognized minting errors, misprints, or special varieties that would elevate its value dramatically above face value. However, this does not mean that every single 1987 2 pence is worthless to collectors. Condition plays a major role in determining its potential value. A coin that has remained untouched, uncirculated, bright, and flawless for decades can attract small collector premium simply because high-grade examples are harder to find. Collectors are always searching for pristine pieces to complete date runs, and a perfectly preserved 1987 coin may catch their attention. Still, even in exceptional condition, it typically reaches only a modest price, not a high-value sale. In 2025, the general market value for a standard circulated 1987 2 pence remains very low. Most circulated examples sell for just a few pence above face value, and many collectors would simply include them in bulk lots or starter packs. If you have one that is clean, slightly worn, or average in appearance, it will not command a meaningful premium. It remains a common coin, easily found in circulation. For coins in uncirculated or near uncirculated condition, the value usually rises slightly, sometimes reaching a couple of pounds, but rarely more. If a coin has retained its original mint luster, sharp edges, and no visible wear, it is considered a collectible example but still not a rare treasure. It is important to understand that even decades after its minting, the 1987 2 pence is far from scarce. Millions still exist, and the supply outweighs demand. The only situation in which a 1987 2 pence could be worth more than expected is if it possesses a genuine minting error. Errors such as off-center strikes, double strikes, wrong planchet errors, clipped planchets, or unusual metal compositions can bring significant premiums. That said, verified errors for this specific date are extremely uncommon. Most coins presented as errors by the public turn out to be the result of post-mint damage, corrosion, or normal wear and tear rather than true mint defects. As for its historical interest, the 1987 2 pence still holds a place in British coinage history as part of the Maklauf portrait era, which many collectors appreciate for its artistic quality. Coins from this period symbolize a changing era in Britain under Queen Elizabeth II's long reign. For sentimental collectors or those assembling complete year collections, the 1987 coin is an essential piece, even if its monetary value is modest. So what is the true worth of the 1987 2 pence coin in 2025? The answer is simple. In circulated condition, it is generally worth its face value or slightly more. In uncirculated condition, it may sell for a small premium, usually no more than a few pounds. It is not considered rare. It is not listed among high-value British decimal coins. And it is not generally purchased by investors seeking profit. Its value lies far more in its historical connection than in monetary gain. If you own a 1987 2 pence and hope it might be a valuable rarity, take a moment to examine it under good light. Look for any genuine striking errors or unusual features. If something appears dramatically different from typical examples, you may consider having it examined by a numismatic expert. Otherwise, enjoy the coin as a piece of British decimal history and an interesting relic of the late 20th century. To sum it up, the 1987 Queen Elizabeth II 2 pence coin is a common circulation piece with high mintage, no special varieties, and a modest collector value in 2025. While it is not worth a fortune, it is still a charming coin that reflects the era in which it was made. It deserves a place in any comprehensive UK coin collection and serves as a reminder of the craftsmanship and tradition of British coinage. If you enjoyed this full breakdown and want more in-depth guides on coin values, history, and market trends, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave your questions in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.